begin. It's Teaching Tuesday where the magic's within. Unlock the words, let the stories unfold. In a world of letters, watch the wonders take hold. Come on in, let's learn and grow. Build the future word by word, row by row. Together we'll read, together we'll rise. On Teaching Tuesdays, we'll open our eyes. Every sound, every line brings us closer to turning our learners into super posers. Phonics and fun on a journey we'll lead. With every Tuesday, we'll plant another seed. Come on in, let's learn and grow. Build the future word by word, row by row. Together we'll read, together we'll rise. On Teaching Tuesdays, we'll open our eyes. Step by step, we'll find our way. Through every challenge, come what may. In our group, you're never alone. Together we'll turn this skill into a stone. Come on in, let's learn and grow. Let's learn and grow. Build the future word by word, row by row, row by row. Together we'll read, together we'll read, together we'll rise, together we'll rise. Teaching Tuesdays, the skies.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition, another episode of Teaching Tuesdays. I am your host, Katina Taylor, the founder and CEO of Dreams KC, an education-based nonprofit located here in Kansas City, Missouri. Yes, where we empower parents with the tools they need to teach their children foundational literacy skills. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is episode, y'all ready for it? 49 weeks pre-recorded and or live. We have been here serving you. So welcome. For those of you that are tuning in via YouTube, welcome to you as well. This is a new endeavor as far as the YouTube channel. So I am so excited. Be sure to like this broadcast, share this broadcast, engage with us. If you want to join us in our private Facebook group, just come on over to Facebook, join the Literacy, the Dreams Way private Facebook group where we engage. I hope to inspire and give you practical tools and applications to certainly help you, assist you in building your children into confident and competent readers. That being said, I'm so excited to let you all know that this 2025 year, this season 2 of Teaching Tuesdays is the way I'll put it. We are focused on the adolescent learner. And so the last several weeks, we've been talking about the struggles that they face. How do we ascertain or observe and identify the struggles that adolescent readers have and what we can do about it? And we're diving into that even more tonight. So I'm so excited to have you all with us. I want to say that we are still, of course, in Black History Month. You all know that. And I want to, let me get my presentation up. Some weeks it's embedded into our tool. Other weeks we have to come out to a third-party site and make sure that we have what we need. So it should be up before you all. And I am going to make sure that it is. If you see me looking side to side, understand and know that we have multiple devices to ensure that you're seeing and hearing everything that you need to see and hear. All right. So that being said, let's get started, y'all. I want to make sure that I honor your time, that we are moving according to the time that we set for us. We generally are here in Teaching Tuesday for about 45 minutes, sometimes about an hour, depending on how engrossed, ingrained, active, and engaged we all are in the topic or the subject matter. Again, this is Black History Month 2025. The theme, as I've pointed out in previous episodes this month, African Americans and labor. And I love this theme because we really can't tie it to literacy. We can't we can do things with our hands, but it still requires our ability to read effectively, to be competent readers. So we can read blueprints, plans, manuals, etc. So even though labor work oftentimes embodies or entails working with our hands, giving physical labor, we can't necessarily always get there if we don't have adequate literacy skills. We have to be able to read even to do laborious work. So I just want to highlight again that this is still Black History Month, what the theme is, and how literacy ties into the theme, right? So again, this is episode 49. It's the second season of Teaching Tuesdays. I'm so thrilled for those of you that are with us each and every week. Those that are new to the platform, welcome again. I hope that you stick and stay as we focus this season on the adolescent learner. You may actually also ask, who is an adolescent learner? I will define that shortly so that you're really clear on our early literacy learners and those who are considered adolescent literacy learners. All right. This is also, as you can tell by my shirt, this is a Black Children's Book Week. It started on Sunday. It goes through the 1st. And the way in which we, Dreams KC, is celebrating is that I made a commitment to partner, collaborate with local African American authors who produce books for our children, about our children, featuring our children. So just yesterday, I interviewed author Rochelle Slaughter. She is the author of 8 books. Most of them are centered around her great niece, Zaya. So feel free to go back on the Dreams KC page, check out that interview, support that author. Most African American authors are independent authors, so they need our support. And this is a great way for you to get books by authors that may be new to you or stories that are new to you and support them. On this particular slide, you'll see a QR code. If you're interested in grabbing a copy of Kyla Meets the Bees, the book authored by me, you can scan that QR code and go ahead and make a purchase. I would love and appreciate your support. Send me pictures of you reading this book with your children, to your children or child reading the book, him or herself as well. And don't forget to post a review also, okay? So happy Black Children's Book Week. Go to the library, check out a book. It doesn't mean that you have to spend money, but certainly spend some time this week exposing your children perhaps to new African American authors or books featuring African American protagonists that perhaps they haven't been aware of or exposed to before. All right? Yes. So what are we talking about tonight? Tonight we are talking about the impact. I seem so cheery, right? Like, but in this, I eat, sleep, and breathe literacy, so I'm always excited to talk about it. But from an adolescent learner's perspective, our adolescent literacy learner's perspective, what we're talking about tonight is the impact of poor literacy on their academic performance across content areas. So this is where I actually take a step back for a second and say, okay, well, who are adolescent literacy learners? They are children who are in 4th through 12th grade. Those are our adolescent literacy learners. Anyone above 3rd grade is considered an adolescent literacy learner in terms of the education space. Oftentimes when we hear the term adolescents, what we actually are thinking about is those who are teenagers. But in the education space, anyone over 3rd grade, that is considered an adolescent literacy learner, okay? So I just wanted to make sure that you understand that, you are aware of that. So when I use that term, it makes sense for you and your children, your students, as we have this conversation, all right? So we all know, of course, that literacy is the foundation of all learning. And if you have someone that has gotten beyond 3rd grade, where they should now be reading to learn versus learning how to read, it directly impacts or affects every other content area, every other subject area, and their overall academic success. So we're going to be talking about how poor literacy impacts the academic journey across subject areas and the long-term consequences if we don't act quickly when we realize or determine that there is a gap or a deficiency in the literacy skills of an adolescent learner. I hope that makes sense. And again, feel free to drop comments into the chat, share out this broadcast, invite people to join in, take notes, screenshot, whatever you need to do. This is for you. All right. So let's go ahead and talk about the scope of poor literacy. So first and foremost, I want you all to understand from the data, the statistics, the qualitative perspective, who we're talking about. We already said these are students that are in fourth grade or above. But understand that when we start looking at the grade levels, when we get to eighth grade, understand and know 60% of our eighth graders in the United States are not proficient in reading. 60%. Just kind of sit with that for a minute. Okay? It affects math, science, social studies, and digital literacy as well. But you, as the most important and the first educators of your own children, along with early intervention, meaning we address it quickly, intentionally, and consistently, we can begin to shrink the gap that may exist for an adolescent literacy learner. It's up to us to get the ball rolling. But I want you all to understand what we're dealing with, who we're talking about, and I want to inspire you to I don't want you to feel that all hope is left. If you have a sixth grader, a seventh grader, an eighth grader, a 12th grader that may be struggling with their literacy skills, that doesn't mean that all is lost, that there's nothing we can do, that it's too late. It's never too late. And that's why I come before you all every Tuesday to ensure that you have the skills, the information, practical strategies that you can take and begin using with your children immediately to begin addressing the issue. All right. So again, I want you to understand when we talk, that was an eighth grade stat. Another stat I wanted to share with you, only 18 to 24% of 6th through 9th graders collectively in the United States read at grade level. Now, I share this information, to be honest, to alarm you. I share this information to upset you. I share this information so that you are clear that we are in a crisis in this country as it relates to K through 12 literacy outcomes. But most importantly, I share this information so that you can take what they say, the bull by the horns, and you can get active and ensure that your child, your children, the children and young people in your sphere of influence have the tools, the strategies that they need so that they are not one of the 18 to 24% 6th through 9th graders that are reading at grade level. No, we want to increase that number exponentially. And really the mission of Dreams KC is to eradicate illiteracy in our communities. We can do it if we are tooled to do so. And that is the work. All right. So when we think about and we're talking about defining poor literacy, or I'll say poor literacy in adolescence, it generally can begin with word recognition. So we're talking about, can they decode? Can they manipulate? Can they, the letter sounds, right, in words? Most of the time, our adolescent learners have mastered those foundational literacy skills: syllabication, grapheme, phoneme, association, alliteration, rhyme. They've mastered some of those. However, they may still have some difficulty understanding, processing, and using written information. We identified it. You can go back last week and look, we really went in depth, but their reading may sound slow. It may sound choppy, kind of robotic. They may not be able to retain the information that they've read because the mental load has been so difficult in terms of just getting the words themselves that they really haven't had an opportunity to process. So that comprehension struggle is real for them. And then translating their reading into encoding, i.e., writing. Those are some common signs of struggle when it comes to our adolescent literacy learners. Now, I will tell you that our older students are experts. They have become proficient at being able to mask their difficulties. And the way in which they do that oftentimes is they will rely on memorization, or they will shy away from any task that requires them to read. They hide it. They learn how to adapt. And because of their ability to adapt and mask, one thing we are quite clear about is these are very intelligent children, young people. And if they're smart enough to devise strategies to hide it, they are equally intelligent and smart enough to actually master the skills necessary so they become proficient in this skill, like they are proficient in masking or hiding their deficiencies. So I want you all to keep that in mind, okay? All right, so immediately some of the things that are impacted by these literacy struggles or challenges that our students face is that they can't keep up with the social studies and science courses that they may be taking. Those courses require a lot of new vocabulary, more complex comprehension skills. The quantity of work increases in middle school and high school, and they just can't keep up because they're not only do they have ELA, English Language Arts, but they may have a digital literacy class, they may have a math class, they have science, they have social studies, they have pre-cal, biology, you name it. The quantity of work that is now required them can become overwhelming for them because they are struggling with their literacy. In addition to that, their writing load picks up as well in middle school and high school. They are required to write more. So if they are required to write more, we have talked about and we know that reading and writing goes together. They're going to have a difficult time even organizing their thoughts, creating an outline for their writing, or responding effectively in essays, or putting together a personal narrative or a research report for their classes, right? And then, of course, when they go home and they have homework, if they don't necessarily have you, maybe you're busy, maybe you work in the evening. And in this day and age, school is very different for, the kiddos versus when we were in school. You heard me say we were the more seasoned adults. And so oftentimes we may not understand what's being asked of them. If they are also having some literacy challenges themselves, then they also are misunderstanding the work, the homework, the directions, the tasks that they're being asked to complete. And therefore, they're just throwing their hands up. There's no way in which they get what they need. Now, they should be, and I would encourage all of us to push them a bit to be resourceful. With the advent of AI and other tools, they can feed their homework assignments into some tools to at least get a clear understanding of what's being asked of them. But we'll talk about some of those strategies later. And then, of course, their literacy will pull down their grades across all subject areas. So perhaps they're interested in going to a particular school upon graduation for college, university studies. Perhaps they want to become an entrepreneur. Maybe they want to go to a trade or technical school. They're looking at scholarships, whatever it may be. They may have in their head what they want their grade point average to be or their overall grades in their subject areas. Well, if they're struggling with literacy, generally it impacts the grades they get in all content areas because they're not understanding, comprehending. And we know that the outcome that we're looking for when it comes to literacy is meaning making, right? So that comprehension. So every subject area can be impacted when we don't have sufficient literacy skills as adolescent learners, right? So oftentimes these students then begin to isolate. They get upset. They give up because their confidence takes a hit. And so you have generally a higher dropout risk. Struggling readers are 4 times more likely to drop out before graduation. Poor literacy does affect college admissions and success in higher ed, meaning we know that generally speaking, you graduate in 4 years from college or universities. Well, students that may have poor literacy skills, it may take them 5, 6, or 7 years, which we know also will increase their debt load, right? If they're getting student loans, if they're not qualifying for scholarships, they're having to take remediation classes, which I will tell you, I was just at a conference and I have found the colleges across the country are doing away with the quote unquote remedial classes now. And the reason being is because those credit hours do not contribute to graduation, the degree that the student is seeking. So if we're not catching it at the K-12 level, we're not offering the classes that they need to be successful while they're at college or university, then more often than not, our children, even if they get accepted into the college or university, they end up staying an extended period of time, or they may not finish their degree either. Now, I'm not saying every student needs to have a degree, but if that is something they desire to achieve, that is a goal they set for themselves, we want to equip them to have success, set them up for success and not failure. And then, of course, students may struggle to qualify for AP, dual enrollment programs. For example, when I was in high school, I graduated with not only my high school diploma, but also an associate's degree. I had so many college hours that there were some courses I didn't have to take when I went to college. We want to give them the option. We want to remove barriers so that they have the option to take honors courses, AP classes, have that dual graduation, associates and high school diploma. But we know for sure that if they don't have strong literacy skills, they're going to be limited in their opportunities. And that is not something that we want for them, because 90% of our children are intellectually capable of becoming or mastering those literacy skills. They just need the support to do so. Okay, I hope you all are keeping up with me. If you have any questions, again, drop them in the comments. I am here to answer, engage, all the things. So how does this affect our students across curriculum areas? Well, again, we talked about social studies, science, and math. So when it comes to math, more and more, when they are assessed with word problems. They have multi-step processes or directions in order to solve those problems. And if they can't follow the literacy pieces of it, they may know the numbers, but if they can't follow, understand what's being asked of them in a word problem, then generally speaking, they're going to have some challenges, right? So when we talk about science, how does literacy impact science? Well, they need to be able to read, interpret, write lab reports. They need to be able to read and understand scientific text or technical instructions, etc. That is a different type of vocabulary, right, that is needed and necessary. And if they don't understand prefixes, suffixes, word roots, base words in science and social studies, they definitely will have some challenges. And again, with social studies, We look at and analyze historical documents. We write research papers and essays. We compare and contrast. We talk about historical events, people, right? Why did this happen? What is it similar to? Can we explain, analyze, summarize those higher order thinking skills in social studies? And so, if we are struggling with baseline literacy, then it is going to limit our ability to accomplish these tasks. All right. So, I want to make sure that we are aware of what we're talking about and specifically what can happen in other content areas or not happen for that matter if we are struggling with literacy. Okay. All right. So, high order thinking, I just mentioned that, right? So, complex ideas become frustrating due to weak literacy skills. We can't ask them to do the summarizing, the analyzing, and thinking of things analytically if they cannot, again, word call, baseline literacy skills. They may struggle to compare sources from logic, inform logical conclusions, right? Compare and contrast, and then think critically and analyze information or make inferences, draw conclusions from the reading. These are those higher order thinking skills that we want all human beings to have. I don't care if it's the CEO, middle management, an entrepreneur, right? A technician. You want them to be able to determine what's happening. Even a plumber needs to be able to take in information and then ascertain what may or may not be happening. I hope we didn't lose our signal here. Hold on one second, you all. Something's happening. I just want to make sure we're still there. In any case, even our plumbers, our technicians, they need to be able to think through information, take bits and pieces, analyze a problem, and then put something in place, a plan, some strategies to solve the problem. So that is where we are. That's how our literacy impacts us. All right. Okay. So I put in here also this copy of Bloom's taxonomy, and I wanted to share with you when we start talking about these higher order thinking skills, what we're talking about. Now, we often get stuck at the bottom of this pyramid here, the bottom of this triangle, where we're just asking students to recall information, reorder a story, tell us, what order something happened, regurgitation, right? Very concrete information. But our goal should be is that as they get older, as they master the literacy skills, that they can do more complex tasks, ending with or combining comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation, taking in information and continuing to get more and more complex in their thinking. But if we stay stuck here at the bottom, then generally speaking, they won't be sufficiently prepared to do problem solving, creative thinking, right? Critical thinking, relating old concepts to new ideas, analyzing patterns, all the things that is required for them to be fully thriving in any career path, in college and university studies, etc. So we don't want to get stuck at knowledge. No, we need to know that they can move forward. And the one way that we can do that is to ensure that they have a solid and firm foundation in the area of literacy. Okay. And then this is another representation of Bloom's taxonomy. I love this. And you see the numbers are there. So you cycle through. You start at that knowledge piece, comprehension, application. How do I apply it? Analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. I put this one in here because this really displays, and I would encourage you to screenshot it. It really encourages or tells us what they should be able to do actively at each of these levels and the verbs, the action words that are associated. So I'll give you an example. If we start at area number 1, which is knowledge, They should be able to do anything in that orange area. Can you draw? Can you locate? Can you label, right? The parts of a butterfly or a plant, right? And what does it relate to? All of these things in the green, the broader part, right? People, events, recordings. You can use a dictionary, reference television shows. You can define things. You can read a text, magazine articles, tools, and things that we're going to be able to utilize with basic concrete knowledge. But then say you go to section 5. Now that's more advanced. If you've conquered or mastered knowledge, then you move to comprehension, to application, to analysis, and now you're at synthesis, right? So when you get to synthesis, you should be able to design, invent, formulate, hypothesize, compose. See, those are things that require deeper thinking. And what could we compose? We can compose a poem. We can design a cartoon. You can invent a game, right? You see how those things, you can compose a story or a song, right? You can formulate a report. So that is the way in which Bloom's taxonomy in action works. I just wanted to give you a different representation so you understand what I am saying in terms of what our children should be able to do at different levels. And as their literacy skills develop, their critically thinking skills develop, their comprehension grows, they should be able to move through this continuum until they get to 6, right? That's where we all should be as adults. Can we do this work, right? Okay. So let's keep going. So I couple this also because oftentimes there's a saying that before a child can bloom, they must have Maslow's hierarchy of needs met. So we start at the bottom with their physiological needs. Do they have enough food? Are they secure with their shelter, where they live? Do they get enough sleep, right? Water, all those physical things that we need to make sure that we can function on a day-to-day. Then we move up to safety needs, love and belonging, esteem, self-actualization. Now, I like to overlay Bloom's and Maslow so you can really see how they work together. And that's what I've done here, right? So on the one side, you have Maslow's. On the other side, you have Bloom's, right? So if they have their basic needs met, then their mind, their brain is in a place to remember, learn what it is that they need to learn in that moment. You move up when they are safe and secure, then not only can they remember, they can regurgitate, they can get that concrete knowledge, they can also understand because they're not worried about their safety, their security, their stability. They have their basic needs met. Then you go up to belonging. Do I feel a part of my class, my community, my household? Then that's when we can get into the fact that they can apply. Not only can they remember, they understand. Now their brain has the freedom to analyze and apply what they're learning to their particular environments. They have the freedom to take risks, make mistakes, which is really where learning occurs, because they feel safe, secure, their needs are met, and they belong. They are in a safe space, right? And then you go on to self-esteem and self-actualization on the Maslow side, which then carries them through the evaluate and the creativity. When you are whole, right? When you are whole, then you have the opportunity to learn with reckless abandon, as long as we are supporting them in that. So I really wanted to kind of make that clear, overlay Maslow's with Bloom's, so that you understand how they should be progressing. I hope that makes sense to you all. So how does the lack of mastery in terms of their literacy skills impact them emotionally and socially? Well, often it wreaks havoc on their confidence. And if you all know anything about Katina, I'm always talking about being a confident first and competent second literacy learner, student, person. Because what we know for sure is that as we celebrate those wins, they are learning these skills, they are mastering the foundational things, it automatically builds their confidence. As their confidence is built, they want to do more. They want to have that feeling of success again. The more practice they do, then they move into that competence. So I'm always talking about building confident and competent readers. They begin to believe oftentimes when they have gaps in their learning that they aren't smart. I'm dumb, I'm stupid, I can't do it. And they will withdraw from the learning process when really we just haven't caught them early enough and given them the tools to shrink those gaps, close those gaps, and move them over to mastery. They often will then develop negative attitudes. They get anxious. They feel overwhelmed, frustrated. They don't want to go. They say learning's not for me. They finish high school. They're like, no college or university or whatever it may be, which could impact them into adulthood with their ability to try new things or feel that they are smart enough to become that small business owner or to go after the dream that they had, right? And then it also may show up as behavioral issues. Some students will become classroom disruptors, or they will just shut down and shrink, not even noticed by their teachers, by their peers, or what have you, because they are so embarrassed by their literacy struggles. And that is not what we want for them. We want them to be fully engaged and thriving in their life at every level. And getting a firm grasp of and mastering their literacy skills, be it early learners or adolescent learners, it ensures that if they have all of these supports, that they will less likely be impacted in an emotional and social way. All right. So what does this mean for their career and future implications? Well, most jobs require us to have strong literacy skills. Bottom line, you have to read no matter what job you have. I wish I could say there is a job that exists in the world where you would not have to do any reading. I don't know one. If you know one, let me know. I am teachable. Please point it out to me. But most jobs, most careers, no matter what you do on this earth, require some sort of reading. And then if you're going through orientation, you're selecting your benefits. You need to get trained. You need to respond to emails. You need to understand contracts. You need to be safe. Think about working at an airline in any capacity. Literacy is required. And those that have poor literacy, deficient literacy, they generally earn 30 to 50% less than those that have strong literacy skills. So they become permanent under earners. It impacts their employability. I often say they are or underemployed. That's not what we want for our children. So we need to catch it early, address it early, and remedy the problem. And we can do that for them. So also in this age, of course, these children, these young people, they are, what do they call them? I can't think of the term that we use, but digital natives. They are digital natives. There has not been a time in their life where digital technology has not existed, right? However, they can even engage with technology if they have low literacy rates. So remember, schools now, we just were out because of the winter weather for like a week, maybe some schools 2 weeks. And they were doing remote learning using digital tools and things of that nature. Well, if you have a child that struggles with their literacy, are they going to be able to navigate those tools, those remote learning platforms efficiently and effectively for their good? No, they're not. Are they able to recognize fake news, the misinformation? Or is it that, they'll say something and you're like, where did you hear that? Oh, on the internet. But they don't know how to source out what is a primary source or secondary source or a source that is reliable. And then, of course, navigating digital textbooks, There are some school districts now that no longer give you an actual textbook. You have to be able to utilize a digital textbook or do research using search engines or academic websites. If we have literacy challenges, then our children are not able to avail themselves of these resources and do the work that's going to move them forward. So again, whether we're using technology or not, if you have low literacy, if we have a struggling adolescent learner, then they are going to be directly impacted in a way that continues to, for that gap will widen. It widens quicker and it gets very, very wide for an adolescent learner versus our early learners. We have more time, a bit more time to zone in, hone in on the deficiencies and close those gaps. But when our students get older and things start moving faster for them, it's going to be a bit more challenging to address those learning deficits. So what do we do as parents? This is the part. Like, I identify all these things and you go, oh my gosh, this seems to be overwhelming. And it can be, but it doesn't have to be, right? And that's why I give you these strategies as well. So first and foremost, we want to make sure that we are identifying these struggles very early and seeking out support, right? We want to team up, partner with the school, the classroom teachers, the reading interventionists, the tutors, whomever is in their sphere in the academic institutions in which they attend. Get the support, get it early, and then stay on top of it. You also want to get comfortable watching your child grapple. Like, we don't want to make everything easy for them. We can't spoon feed it to them. Can we be intentional and consistent? Absolutely. But productive struggle is okay. Yes, they will get frustrated as they're trying to close these gaps, and it's okay, because the other side of that is celebration, that growth mindset, the development of resilience when facing academic challenges. And what it sends the message to them is, I can do it even if it's hard, right? I can do it even if it's hard. And that will show up down the road in many other ways in their lives, right? And then you want to make sure that you are partnering with their teachers, with the academic institutions. What do their assessments say? What does it show? Where's their growth happening? Where are their areas of strengths as well as their weaknesses? What interventions are we putting in place to address the areas of weaknesses? How are we celebrating their successes? What extra literacy supports can you put in place to ensure that my adolescent learner, the gaps, the deficiencies aren't getting wider, but they're actually shrinking? So we want to be in partnership with the school, asking the critical questions, pushing them if they're moving a little slow in a good way, right? To ensure that our adolescent learners are still moving forward and shrinking those gaps, and those gaps are not growing for them. All right. So there's some other things that you can do. You can screenshot these, create a family book club, make reading a part of the family, a part of the things that we value, right? Choose books together, read them as a family, have discussions about the book, act out scenes, make it fun. We're going to have, book club tonight. We're going to get all of our favorite snacks, make it comfortable, whatever you need to do to create joy and a positive feeling in an area where they have struggled. It will go a long way. Use technology creatively, right? Maybe they create their own blog or begin doing social media content. That's writing and reading. What's their spelling look like? How are we checking that? We have apps out there like Duolingo for vocabulary building, right? Creative digital storytelling project using tools like Canva or Adobe Spark. We don't have to. People fear oftentimes an over-reliance on technology. I say you leverage technology for the benefit of what you are attempting to get out of it. So it doesn't need to go away. It doesn't need to be a problem. What we need to do is get creative in the way in which we use it. Have game nights that focus on literacy things like Scrabble and Boggle and Bananagrams for those fourth graders, maybe. Try story-based board games like Dixit and Once Upon a Time, or create your own game, right? Using information from books or articles or television shows or video games that they like, right? How do we turn a favorite video game into a board game or a trivia game? that they have to read, right? You have to read the trivia cards. And then real world reading activities, right? So there's a lot going on right now, politically, socially, right? In some faith-based communities, things of that nature. So what can we read and discuss together as a family? What are they interested in learning more about? What don't they understand is happening in the world that you all can get together and discuss? Analyze product reviews before making purchases. Compare a couple of things. You go on Amazon. I know y'all do. Y'all have those carts full. How can we compare? I always look at the product reviews. What makes something better or worse than something else? And then we make a decision to purchase. Now, interpret maps. I was like, well, we all use GPS, but guess what? Those are maps as well. You can plan imaginary or real trips. I love a good scavenger hunt. I know I'm probably quirky and weird, but what if they want to learn more about their city? Maybe you just moved to a new city or new area. Creating a map or a virtual field trip or something like that would be a great way to incorporate literacy strategies in a fun, real world way. So it doesn't have to always have to be sit and get, right? If you have a child that is really interested in baseball, baby, literacy and math, amazing ways to incorporate or learn through the use of a sport or, something like that. So you just have to get creative, think outside the box, make it fun for yourself as you support them as well as your child or your children who are learning. And here's some more strategies. We've talked about some of these before, so I won't point all of them out. I'll point out note taking. They should be taking notes, especially if they're reading nonfiction text or trying to learn something new. But another way, maybe they like to cook. Well, let's pull out some recipes. We need to read these recipes. We need to do some measurements. You're incorporating literacy and math, right? Those word problems. And then multimedia projects. Create a family newsletter or magazine. Make a video book, right? Or a trailer for their favorite movie or video game. Again, video games. Maybe make a family podcast discussing something that you all have a shared interest in. Those are just some other ways, because you have to write a script. You have to read it. All the things that incorporate literacy in a fun and engaging activity in ways that it is not just boring. Sit and just read. I would tell you just reading while it has its place. But we have to zone in on specific skills that they may be lacking and teach those intentionally, consistently, in a fun and engaging way. It makes them stay engrossed in the activity longer if they're interested in it. All right. So I want to just give you some additional strategies there. Then when we get to improving reading comprehension, again, we've talked about these. Comprehension happens before you ever open the book. So before reading, we're asking them to make predictions about the story based on the cover, maybe the front cover, the back cover, the title, etc. During reading, are they making inferences, drawing conclusions, pulling out words, vocabulary words that may be unfamiliar or new to them? Are they saying, oh, this might happen next, that might happen next? And then after reading, are they summarizing, analyzing, synthesizing? Are they doing text-to-text comparisons, right? Text to world, text to self, comparing what's happening in my life and what happened in that book? What happened in this book we read before and this book we're reading now? And then how are we relating to what we're reading about to the entire world, society, existence, culture, etc.? That's all a part of comprehension. So what do we talked about tonight, right? We've talked about how literacy impacts our affects all of our content areas and our lives in general, right? The long-term consequences and how our career, our ability to participate civically and academic can be impacted if we don't master those literacy skills as adolescent literacy learners. But the hope, the goal, the bright light is that you all, as parents, as early career educators, as content area teachers, have the power to support literacy growth for all of our students if we are intentional, if we are consistent, and if we start today, right? Using some of these activities, some of these strategies, you just go for it. So that's really what I have for you all. Next week, we're going to be talking about creating the personalized literacy plan for your adolescent literacy learners. So I'm very excited getting into the meat. So if you have questions, you have comments, you have concerns before the broadcast next week, anything that I've said today, feel free to post your questions in the comments. I come back, I look at them, I respond to them as often as I can. I try not to miss any questions. If someone's asking for resources, I try to supply those resources as well. I want you to understand and know that all of our children deserve to be confident and competent and capable as readers. And with the right support, we can get them there. You are their first line of defense. I want you all to understand that. If you have not yet taken our book access survey, please, 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 we are still asking for feedback. We need to determine if, in fact, we have book deserts, where they exist, how can we help, and where do we need to help, right? So we want to make sure that we are allocating the appropriate resources where they need to go. If you are a Spanish speaking brother or sister and you need or you would desire to take it in Spanish, or you know someone in your network that is Spanish speaking or Spanish is their first language, feel free to send the survey to them and they can take it in their native language. All right. Remember that we are doing, in partnership with the WB Du Bois Learning Center, we are doing in-person literacy training for parents 2 days a week, Mondays and Saturdays at the WB Du Bois Learning Center, 4510 Linwood. It is free. And what I love about this opportunity is the fact that while you as a parent are getting the information, the tools, the resources you need to work with your children one-on-one, your children are with certified education professionals also in the same space at the same time, getting served as well. So that is an exciting opportunity here in Kansas City, and I hope you all take advantage of it. Scan the QR code, sign up, very, very easy, and you show up. That's it. Okay. Don't forget, every Thursday, we are now doing policy posts, myself and Cecilia Belzer-Patton of Just Systems, where we are breaking down all these policy things that are happening with our new administration from a local and national perspective. So last week, we talked about the executive orders that were happening in K-12 education, what they really mean for you. This week, we will be talking about local breaking news. There is a national organization that is calling for a federal investigation in regards to Kansas City Public Schools and their strategic plan, Blueprint 2030, the specific portion that relates to the makeup of their teaching professionals. So we'll roll all that out, talk about that, so you all understand what is happening, who is this organization, and why it's happening. I know you guys know why it's happening. So that's Thursday, 6 o'clock p.m. on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, you name it. We're going live to discuss policy as it relates to education. It is objective, not subjective. We don't really give you any commentary, but we just discuss the plain facts so you know how you are impacted by any policy decisions that are being made at the K-12 level. All right. Again, remember, this is Black Children's Book Week. Celebrate by going to the library, going on Amazon, going to your local favorite Black-owned bookstore, and grabbing some books. What you see here on this particular slide is the new books by me, yours truly, Katina Taylor, our short vowel decodable book series. Scan the QR code, get on our email list. We'll send you information of where you can get these because they are not yet available on Amazon, and we're holding off on putting them there for now. So if you're interested, you have a pre-care to, I'd say, third grader that are working on those short vowel sounds in isolation, making sure that we master them. Go ahead, scan that QR code, get on the email list. I'll send you the information. All right. That's all I got for you all tonight. It has been a long one. Ooh, we started a little bit after 6:30. So I am going to say, as I always say, y'all know what I say, right? Y'all know it. I know y'all know it. Let's get lit. Until next time, I will see you all. Bye-bye.
Welcome in, grab a seat, let's begin. It's Teaching Tuesday where the magic's within. Unlock the words, let the stories unfold. In a world of letters, watch the wonders take hold. Come on in, let's learn and grow. Build the future word by word, row by row. Together we'll read, together we'll rise. On Teaching Tuesdays, we'll open our eyes. Every sound, every line brings us closer to turning our learners into super prosers. Phonics and fun, on a journey we'll lead. With every Tuesday, we plant another seed. Come on in, let's learn and grow. Build the future word by word, row by row. Together we'll read, together we'll rise. On Teaching Tuesdays, we'll open our eyes. Step by step, we'll find our way. Through every challenge, come what may. In our group, you're never alone. Together we'll turn this skill into a stone. Come on in.